So this is Sean Cleary, the president of Cleary Building Corp, and I'm wondering, how did you get your idea or concept for the businesses that you've started? What businesses have you been an entrepreneur for?
Okay, well, I put together the strategic plan to grow Cleary Building Corp, and which is now owned by Cleary Holdings Inc. I also own Cleary Transport, which is our transportation company, and then I own some real estate companies, and I've been an owner of an optometry software company, along with I'm an investor and on the board of a kind of a startup now called Aqua Innovations. So, the strategic plan to grow Cleary Building Corp was really, to keep it simple, a threefold plan where we only had initially one office and one manufacturing plant. Was to expand the business geographically by opening up new offices across the country, expand the products, which were initially just agricultural products, storage buildings, livestock housing, and machine shed kind of buildings for farms in the agricultural industry, to commission and get our engineering department to develop more commercial products and expand the market with the flexibility of our product to where today we have 45 standard products and then non-standard products. So the three parts were establish local representation by putting in branch offices, so that back at that time there was no internet. So we had to people at that time, like today you go to a website, back then was telemarketing. Well, a lot of people think that if you aren't located somewhere back when there was telemarketing, that you weren't a trustworthy company. So it was to establish local presence, expand our product lines, and expand geographically, and ultimately to protect ourselves from, I guess, to become recession-proof, because typically a recession is in one geographical region of the country, not the whole country, except for like the Great Recession that we just experienced in 2008 to 2010, and the only one that was like that previously was called the Depression in the 1930s, etc. So, what it would do is, if as we expanded our product lines, if the agricultural industry was down, our commercial markets would drive sales, and vice versa, or it'd be only in one area of the country. Well, if you have offices across the country in a lot of areas, then you have protection, because some areas are going to do better than others, and some sectors are going to do better than others, like certain times commercial products do better than ag products. Recently, the last 3 or 4 years, the crop prices have been low, milk prices have been low, so like the ag industry is down, but like hobby buildings are up for us across the country. So that's kind of the strategic plan. Very simply, there's a lot more to it than that, of what we did here at Cleary Corp. On the real estate side, what I look for is, they always say location, location, location. So when I look to buy a property, I look at the usage, which typically I lease back to Cleary Building Corp for an office, and then I rent out offices. So I look for properties close to interstates and in good locations, so that if I ever wanted to sell a property, it would be saleable because of the location, and of course increase in value. And then you also have to run the market evaluation, the demographics, and things like that. And that's how we grow our corporate business at Cleary Building Corp as well. When we go in to open up a new office, we before we do that, we do a whole market study on demographics, income, including income, age of people, products that fit in with us or don't. We actually physically drive around the area, etc. So whether we're leasing office space, or one of my real estate companies is buying real estate to build an office to lease back to Cleary, we do those kinds of evaluations. Related to other businesses that I invest in or am on the boards of, like the optometry software company, you look for, first of all, you look for how large the market is. So in the optometry industry, which is a smaller market than the medical industry, and is it U.S. or international, etc. In our optometry business, there were X amount of optometry doctors in the U.S. We actually opened up some area in Canada as well when we did that. But you look at what the total market share is, what the products are that are needed, or that you're looking that have been developed, that is, if you're going into a company, and you look at what is, pro formas and what it's going to take to get to profitable, etc. And the other key is exit strategy. If you don't want to be in the business, how do you get out of it? Who are the potential purchasers that can buy the business? So like in the optometry software business, we looked at large companies that are already in the industry, like Luxottica, which is a lens manufacturer, or like Optima, and different lens companies that would be interested in buying a company that had the software where the optometrists it would automatically link to them and help their business as well. When we ended up selling that company, we actually engaged with some investment bankers out in Silicon Valley to find various venture capitalists to look to purchase that company, venture capitalists and or private equity, and that is what happened. So we had an exit strategy to hopefully sell it within 5 years, and from the time I got involved and helped to organize the company as a C Corp, we actually got out of it in about 5 years. And so Aqua Innovations, the newest company that I'm invested in and I'm on the board of, is a company that will take the big problem we have across the country is phosphorus in water, and caused in a lot of cases, especially like in Wisconsin or dairy states or states where there's cattle, by runoff into water, manure, and what do you do with all this manure for these big dairy farms like Kewaunee County, Wisconsin? So what this product does is you put it in and it will take manure and it will make it into distilled water, liquid fertilizer, and the third thing is a solid waste that you can actually reuse for bedding for your cows. And so it's huge. In fact, we just sold a unit to Dane County that we're going to be installing soon, and that will help some of the dairy farms around here, maybe help some of the lake and water runoff. But Kewaunee County is a county in northern Wisconsin where there's lots of large dairy farms, like 5,000, 10,000 head dairy farms, and you can't just take all that manure that is generated and go spread it on a field. And so we're in the process of installing one of those units at a big dairy farm up there now, and we think that will help us to sell all these large dairy farms up there. But as fast as we can put together a sales force, we can take this across the country. That's what we're working on right now as well. And we also are looking to grab as much market share as we can and then turn around and sell this within 5 years.
Nice. So to what do you attribute your success for these companies and stuff?
I think that I attribute it to you have to pay attention to the details. You have to understand business, and you have to be able to understand financial statements. You can't have people just generating financials for you. You have to really understand what's in them, and you have to ask a lot of questions about them, because most people just put things in various areas. Even with this new Aqua Innovations, they've got their own accounting people, but the president just emailed me last Thursday saying, hey, what should we do about this situation? And I said, here's what the entry should be, because you want to know where that your financials are accurate. Otherwise, you can't manage the business. So I attribute, I think there's really a couple things. You have to be diligent, you have to be persistent, you have to have a high sense of urgency, and you have to know the business you're in. And you have to know how to operate a business, and you have to also know, if you're actually running the business, you need to know the details, or you need to know that there is somebody that does know the details. And if you need answers, because you can't know everything once a business gets to a certain size, you have to have the right people that if you ask them a question and it's at their authority level, that they can give you the answer. And if not, that if it's a level lower than them, that they know where to go to get that answer, and they get it quick.
Okay. Last question. If you had one piece of advice for someone just starting out, like to be an entrepreneur, what would that be?
Well, one piece of advice, I have lots, but I think
a couple.
I think the one word that I would, I'll say the word that I think is really important for entrepreneurship is curiosity. And whether you're working in a company, I think that's really important, or whether you're trying to do your own thing. Curiosity, because curiosity then leads you to ask questions until you understand everything you want to understand. And it's what I call in our company here at Cleary Corp, what I've said for 34 years, I call it ask the nth question. And that's what we try to do in this company, because that's how you really get to the bottom of things. And if you don't understand something, there's nothing wrong with asking a question, because that's the problem. Most people don't understand things. And how can you even understand what you're going to try to do if you don't have the answers? You have to be curious and have to figure out how to get the answers. Sometimes it's going and doing it yourself. Sometimes it's using other resources and knowing what resources to use.
Perfect. That'll do it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.